Hello everyone, welcome to Immersive Studios. My name is Drea and I'm a VFX supervisor, digital compositor and 3D generalist. Today we're going to be switching these into these. I'll be walking you through the process of creating a very high quality 3D scans using Reality Capture and Adobe Photoshop. The process will be working on double half setups. So we're going to be working on the upper half first, and then the lower half, and then combining both models together to create one full 3D scan, a very high quality one. Let's get into it. So from my side, I've prepared a couple of gadgets that will help prepare the whole thing in a very easy way. So I use my Canon DSLR cam. You can use your smartphone if you don't have a camera. That would be fine, it will work the same, but of course DSLR cams will give more quality and high fidelity images. I got myself a turntable here, so I can put the model on and make the full 360 turn easily. And here I decided to add some tapes, numbered tapes, on the turntable itself so that I can get the 360 tracked fully on the camera. That will help the track for Reality Capture. And I used two dimmable LED lights to light up the subject on the turntable. The best way to do why I use two is that we need as flat as possible. So I use two lights plus the environmental even light. And here, after putting the subject on the turntable and let it well evenly, we start taking circular photos. We're talking about 20 to 30 photos would be good enough. And here, done with the upper half, we flip it to start with the lower half and repeat the process. It is kind of a long process actually, taking photos. We're talking 30 photos each, so we're talking 60 photos. It's kind of a long process if we're doing the traditional way, just shooting photos, and maybe someone can help you do the turntable. Here, where I decided to make my life easier, I just fixed my camera on a tripod and working with my two hands, one hand for the turntable and one hand for the camera. This made it faster. One very important note about Reality Capture and this setup, we are working on a turntable that is stationary and we're turning it by hand. Reality Capture will never understand the scene and it will never work because of my background. My background in this case is an extremely textured carpet and it's super still, so Reality Capture will never understand that setup. So what we need to do is put the turntable on a flat background. Why we are doing this? Because in this case, Reality Capture will think that we are doing a reverse engineering setup, which is we are turning physically around the model. So I ended up putting the turntable on a flat surface like this. So now we are in Reality Capture. I'm going to be loading my images. So all we need to do is drag and drop the folder into my pane. And here, where we can see all my photos. So what we do is, we start with alignment and we press align images. And here, where we can see the first half is aligned, the whole setup is there. We will configure the bounding box. I don't need anything beyond this box. If you press the numbers on the numpad, you will get different views, the flat orthographic views. So I'm going to be looking at the top view, which is much easier for me. And that's the side. And as you can see, it is visible that the turntable and the whole scene is not straight. So we can fix that by going to Tools, Set Ground Plane. Alright, so now it is straight. If we press 0, you'll go back to the perspective. So we have a straight model in that contained bounding box, and it's ready for construction. So if we go back to a mesh model, and we can go with normal detail, this will reconstruct the model. And now that the model is reconstructed, which is the upper half, I will need to remove all that bottom mesh, which I don't need. We can go to Tools. So I'll be using the rectangle, and I'll go to the side view and select, even if you dig into the model itself, that would be fine, because I'll be explaining a very important thing regarding how to combine both. This is related to combining both models together. So after the selection, all you need to do is just filter selection. That will delete the selected faces. And now we have deleted all the lower half. And now we will need to export some matte images from this first half. The models and mattes shouldn't be extremely complete because we will be combining both halves together, so it will be one full mesh. Need to be exported in the same folder where we imported this first half from. So in my case, I have folder A and folder B. Folder A has the upper half images. Folder B has the lower half images. So I'm going to be choosing folder A. I'll be exporting the matte images into it. So we go to Mesh Model, Depth and Masks, and we choose the location, folder A, option box here, cancel the depth image. All I need is the mask image. Export camera depth, I'll just press no and hit export. Now that it's done, we can check the folder. Reality Capture automatically exported the matte images based on their names, so each photo has its mask beside it. Now we're going to repeat the same process for the lower half and export the matte images. So we start a new scene and load our B folder, and we're ready to align the images. Now we start a new scene to get prepared to combine both. And now we drag both folders together into the software. We hit Align Images. So as you can see, Reality Capture has loaded two components, which is for each half. It did not combine both halves together because it didn't understand the orientation automatically. So in this case, Reality Capture has its tools to combine the meshes together by something called control points. You have to choose some similar points in the mesh in the two halves, so it will understand that it is the same spot and it will combine them together. You will need around 3 to 4 points minimum, so it will understand the orientation. If you go to the Alignment tab and go to Add Control Point, and this is where I've chosen to put some visible marks on my stones, so that when I'm working on the control points process, it will be much easier to spot some similar areas. So I'm going to be using the M here. I'm going to be using somewhere here. And I'm going to be using the edge point here. So 3 points is enough to understand the orientation. Whenever I add the control points, you have to confirm them by pressing the plus. Now we jump to the second half and add the same control points to the same spots. So as long as I'm selecting add control points and I press on point 0, it will understand that I'm gonna be adding it to another component model and not generate a new point. Now, after adding the control points on both halves and matching them, we will align again. Or we can press merge components. And now, as you can see, after merging the models, the two halves together, it is one full reconstruction. Let's do the world orientation and then we will reconstruct the model. And now we are ready to reconstruct the model. And here where we can see full 3D mesh is reconstructed successfully. We're going to be cleaning up a bit the model so we be better used in the 3D software or game engines or whatever. So if we go to mesh model, if you press check topology, it will check it for you if there's any errors. The model is okay and it has no errors now. After that, we can jump into clean model. It will be cleaning any defects that exists in this model. It is extremely dense now. The component that we're working on is component 01. Now it has 635k tries. And this is a bit too much and dense for a model to be used in any production or in a game engine. So it's better off to decimate it. So if we go to tools, and we go to simplify tool, the target triangle count, 100,000 tries. From 635k to 100k. And hit simplify. If we wanted to clean any of this kind of defects, we can select, delete, and then close holes. And then we will hit smoothing tool. The smoothing tool will smooth the mesh in general. And then go back to unwrap and hit unwrap. This will UV unwrap the model. Now if I go to texture, it will color it. The textures will be projected throughout the cameras that we took into the model. And we have the full textured model. Now all we have to do is export the 3D model and export the textures and clean it up, clean my black marks in Photoshop. Now if I go to mesh models, dense mesh model, and we can export as an OBJ. Let's pick up the location. You will have this wizard for the export and you would choose the textures, export textures, yes. So now we have the model, we have the texture. Let's preview the 3D model. Now we need to delete those black marks that we see here. Now that we are in Photoshop, we will clean the image with a very simple spot healing tool. Now if we check the model, and we will have one clean mesh. And here we reach the end of the video. Hope you liked it and maybe learned something new. If you liked it, please hit the like button, subscribe to Immersive Studios, and hit the bell button for the upcoming videos. I'm an Unreal user and I'll be working on more of productions and breakdowns. Hope to see you soon.